and welcome back to another episode of The Chicks in Construction. I'm your host, Mikki Paradise, and this is my co-host,
Jessica Abreu.
And we are going to get down and dirty today, but first, we're going to do a little chitty chat. I think I've talked about this before. I think we need to not just jump into the episode. We need to ease in, and I'm terrible at that. So
yes, we're both not.
We're not talkers.
No, I mean, we're talkers, but we're not. What is that word called?
We're conversational? No, I don't know. Like I can hold a convo, but I'm just like, I just get into the meat. There's no fluff. I'm just like, let's get down into it.
Yeah.
Like in literally everything in my life. That's I walk into a room and I'm like, you. I did that
small
today.
Talk. That's what I hate.
Small talk.
That's what we don't like.
We're not great small talkers.
No,
that's very true.
Know what it is.
We're like, what is that? We don't do that.
No.
So yeah, but I've been watching the episodes and I'm like, man, we just jump in there.
So we're gonna do a little small talk
just
for you.
Just for you guys.
Just for you guys.
We're going out on a limb here.
Making ourselves very uncomfortable.
Very uncomfortable. So Mikki, enjoy the podcast, y'all. This is for you.
You just went on a little vacation.
I did.
And got to do your favorite thing.
I did get to do my favorite thing. So my doctor made me wear, this is so funny to me, they made me wear a wearable device that was like a heart rate monitor, or at least it felt like that, but it was monitoring like all kinds of different things. And they were like, listen, if you don't get the hormone, what is the cortisol. If you don't get your cortisol levels down, like, I don't know what's going to happen. And I was like, I mean, you should know. You're the doctor. You should know what's going to happen. But they're like,
it's not going to be good.
It's not going to be good. And I was like, okay, well, obviously that means I need to go find seashells, which is the most relaxing thing for me ever. So when other people go hunting, I go hunting for empty seashells. We don't take live things either. I also had a little beach police moment. I can tell you that. But I went to Sanibel, which is an island off the Gulf Coast of Florida. And let me tell you, a chef's kiss to Sanibel. Sanibel Island, it got hit really hard by Ian, but they did a really good job rebuilding. And the island itself is just like, they refuse to let these huge corporations on the island. So it's like all just like small hotels and like houses. And so there's none of those towering condo buildings. It's just like, the tallest building I saw was 4 floors. And it was just like, it was a chef's kiss of a vibe. And then the seashells were freaking amazing. I got to go on 2 different seashell like adventures. Oh yeah. Like a hardcore. I have gear. Of course you do. And so like, it was amazing. But so the last day we're there, because Hector joined me, like I was there all week and Hector joined me on Thursday. And last day we're there, we're like in the ocean, and these people are picking up live sand dollars and like throwing them like frisbees.
No.
And so I morphed immediately into a self-deputized beach police officer.
Nice.
And I was like, no, we're not doing that. And it was so funny. The lady got so mad. Like she was probably younger than me, but like not by much. And just the audacity that I had to like tell her and her man to stop throwing a live creature like a frisbee. She was outraged. And I was like,
but why even would you think to
I don't know. Like, and that was the thing, is like, I watched it happen once. And I said, Hector, I said, they're throwing those sand dollars. And then I watched it happen twice. And I was like, if it happens thrice, I'm saying something. And next thing you know, there goes the sand dollar. And I was like, stop throwing them.
It's a living being.
I said, it's a living creature. And the lady was like, she goes, we're not taking them. And I was like, I'm not accusing you of taking them. I was like, stop throwing the sand dollars. That's a living animal. And she goes, we're not taking, calm down. And I was like, I'm perfectly calm. So then I realized like, they're not going to stop. No. So I just turned my back to them and like left it be. So like, weather was moving in, but like Hector is, I swear to God, he's Aquaman. He was born in a boat, like literally. So he just has this feel like he's like, it's just going to pass through. So he's like, we're going to stay in the water. And he goes, babe, that lady is like waiting on shore for you. And I was like, well, she can come. I'm here. Like she can come into the water. And she was like, I guess she wanted to confront me. And I was like, girl, come on out. Like you were just on the water. Why don't you? She waited for quite a while, but I had no plans on getting out of the water. So eventually she
standing on the
left.
water's edge watching you.
It was weird. She was making direct eye contact too, and I was
I
like,
see you. She was
I was
making
like,
sure you weren't going to take any
I
$3.
see you seeing me, weirdo. You know, like
Only you.
only me. Like I go on
Only
like vacation to have less stress and end up like almost getting beat up on the beach by a sand dollar thrower. But I still felt like, listen, if that's the risk that I have to take to save a creature's life, I'll do it. Because I am like a rescue ranger. I'm here for the beach creatures. Like I take shells, but I never take live things. Even if it has like a hermit crab in it, I'm not taking it. I'm just like, no, he was there first. So very, very hardcore.
Do you try to get him to change the shell?
Sometimes I'm like, sir, this is a very nice shell. And you already have a shell. So you don't need that shell. Like sometimes it'll be like a crab, like a full-blown crab. And you're like, you don't even need that shell. You're just hanging out. Yeah. I can find you another shell.
I'll find you another
Sometimes you negotiate, but you know, most of the
they
time
don't-
they're like, I was here first, fight me. And then I don't want, I'm like, no.
What
I'm
they
like,
look like.
I only do that with people who throw sand dollars. So that's where I draw the line, crab. Sorry about that. So that's what I did.
Nice.
I will say, I wore the wearable device. It reduced my stress by 22%. I came back and had to catch up on a week's worth of work. And I'm like, we should probably be wearing the wearable right now to see how much my stress has increased, because it's probably double. I'm probably at 50% more than I was. So I'm like, I don't know.
This is not how
I don't think it achieved the results that we were actually going for, but I did get some amazing shells and it was very relaxing. And Sanibel, it's such a vibe.
I'm going to have to go there.
Dude, seriously, I highly recommend. So I actually reached out to Hydroblock because I was like, okay, let me pitch you this idea.
Okay.
Let's build.
We're going to not put this in the box.
Well, we can. I think we can. Let's put it in the podcast. Because listen, I'm pitching it everywhere.
All right, never
Here's
mind.
an idea. Let's build a waterproof house. Because Hydroblock has the waterproof drywall. They have the waterproof OSB. Right. So like, I'm like, hey guys, idea.
Go build the house.
I'll buy the land. You guys just give me all the money to build it. So, I will say Lisa, who is the like VP of Hydroblock, did respond, and she was like, this is a great idea. I don't think it's gonna happen, but it's not a bad idea. And I was like, but she didn't say no.
She didn't say no. She said, I don't think it's gonna happen.
She was like, but it wasn't a hard no. So I'm like, I'm not giving up the dream yet. But I do think it would be really cool to build a waterproof house. And I'm just like, listen, on Sanibel Island, but you should come. And we should probably build a waterproof house.
It sounds good.
Yeah.
I'm there.
What's going on with you? You have some exciting news.
Yes. So we are under contract, should be closing Friday.
Oh my God.
So by the time this airs, I will have closed and be the proud owner of a townhouse near the beach.
Oh my God. We're clearly beach people.
Yes,
That is so exciting.
This is actually the furthest I've ever lived from the beach.
Oh, okay.
Because I come from Rhode Island. And
the beach is everywhere
it's
there.
Everywhere.
But it's a very cold beach.
It is very cold.
Yes.
Not very, very pretty water. It's very dark.
Yeah.
And very, very chilly. Even in August.
I went there and they were surfing, but they had wetsuits on. And I was like, I would have to have like one of those full, like there's Arctic wetsuits, like that had the helmet. Because there's like, no water can touch me that cold. I'm 0%. I would die.
It's very cold. Yeah. So we're super excited for that. So we are going to be doing some renovations, getting it ready to be an Airbnb.
Fun.
Which is going to be amazing. I hope that lots of people come and rent it and that it's successful. And then whenever my family wants to go down,
then you have that there.
Our house.
I love that.
That'll be for us.
That's so great.
And it's far enough from the beach that I don't have to worry about the ocean taking it.
Right. So you're not paying beach level insurance.
Yes. I'm just a short drive
there.
So I get to go do all the beach things and then come back to my nice, safe, dry home.
Yes. And dry is the key. We have learned, if anything, on this podcast, that water is the devil's work. So we know this. So when Jess took all that she learned in the podcast and it was like, you know what? Let's say a smidge back.
We're just going to be back over here. Still have the ocean air, but without the ocean water.
Without the ocean prices.
Yes.
So that has led us to, we decided what a great time to talk about what your renovation should cost, because that is something that I think If you have this kind of base level of information going into a renovation, I think it helps to avoid a lot of the things that we read in our homeowner horror stories. And, it's one of those things where it's like, I think because I'm in construction, I just assume that everybody knows these things and
We don't.
and they don't. And so Jess was like, we should do what your renovation should cost. And I'm like, all right, let's get into it. One of the things that, and this is like, you're the perfect example of this, that I always tell people is like, start from the end in mind and then work your way back. So, like, if the end result is you're going to Airbnb it, or the end result is you're going to sell, that is very different. And it's a very different budget from this is my forever home. This is a lifestyle upgrade. Like, those are two very different budgets. Honestly, all three of those are different budgets because when you're going to sell, you have to make really intentional choices that people will pay more money for. So, like, one of the things when we had Ashley on the podcast, the owner of Wallaby Windows, it's like nobody is going to pay more for a house because it has brand new windows in it. Even though that's something that they're not going to have to pay for now because it has brand new windows in it, but they're not going to be like, oh yes, I'll pay more for this house because it has new windows. But if it has an upgraded owner suite along with that upgraded kitchen, those are things that people walk into and it changes the price for them in their mind. So when they're touring houses and they see one that is not updated versus one that has an updated kitchen, updated bathrooms, they are willing to pay more for that because it's like in their minds, it's turnkey, it's move-in ready. So that budget is different from, this is my forever home. I want to have an amazing back porch. Like my neighbor across the street last year, oh my God, she did a back porch renovation where they like extended their back porch, but then they did like a whole landscape thing. Holy stinking moly. I don't even want to know how much it cost, but it is gorgeous. But that's something that's like, yes, you may get a little bit of your money back out of that, but not everybody cares so much about spending time outside. So spending, like, she has screened in the porch and it's like lovely. And they did a lot of work on like the landscape and this, the grading of the house. That's not necessarily something that a buyer is going to come in and pay more for that. So that's one of those things where when you're thinking about your budget, know where you're ending up. So if you're selling your house, you need a different budget than if this is your forever home and this is an upgrade for yourself. So that's one place to really start.
Yep. And if you have a budget, say, we'll just throw $50,000 out there because it's a nice round number.
That's a nice round number.
It's a nice round number. And you were doing it for your home, you're going to probably put that money into the custom things.
Right.
Where if you have $50,000 to update the home to sell or to make it an Airbnb,
right,
you're going to put that money into things that is going to make it pleasing to other people,
right,
not to
yourself. So it's like, yeah, that's a really good point too, because it's like some people have eccentric taste. I will appease your love for being anonymous about certain things, but there was a certain celebrity that I almost did an HGTV show with. And when we were in the process of like the pilot and the pitch and all that, I had to go to his house and I saw his design choices. And I was like, interesting. These are very, these are very specific to this individual style. And so like, that's something that you would do at your forever home. But like on an Airbnb, you want to be thinking about like what's catching everybody's eye. Like you're looking through Airbnb going, okay, what are the most rented Airbnbs? And you're trying to like capture that style. Or when you're rebuilding or you're renovating to sell, you want to pick what is most trending right now. So like that's where you want to go on that. So a lot of people, when you're doing your own renovation, you'll go with your personal style. But when you're doing a renovation to sell, it's like what's all over Pinterest, what's everybody into right now.
Yeah.
Huge difference. And the budget for that is very different because, listen, If I'm
Pinterest is going to make me broke.
Pinterest is a blessing and a curse. It's a double-edged sword. I'm going to tell you that right now. If I'm going to sell this house and it needed new cabinets, I've already done my kitchen. But if it needed new cabinets and I knew I was going to sell it, am I going to put like the world's nicest cabinets in? Probably not. So like I'm going to put nice cabinets in that are aesthetically pleasing.
Right.
But I'm not going to be like solid wood cherry cabinets, like
It's not happening.
it's not happening.
You
So
put that money somewhere else.
right, you'll put them because it will help you in the bathroom. So you'll be able to take that money and spread it thinner all over the house. Whereas, if it's for you, you might want those cherry cabinets. You might want that upgraded granite. So it's things like that, and it's things to consider. So the first place to start when how much should your renovation cost is what's the end game. So for Jess, her end game is
making it pleasing for an Airbnb.
Right. Rentable. And then obviously, for her family when they come, but that's not their main home, so when they don't, it's not about like all their style. It's about like, what are people going to see on these pictures and be like, rent it.
I want this one.
This one looks like they are cute.
Yeah.
So that's a great place to start.
When you have your budget, not everything is going to be for the materials and everything that you're going to see. Is there a particular way to break that down so that like, okay, this is my budget.
Yeah.
But how am I going to break it down?
So the high level view of how your budget should break out, and again, very high budget, high level, like, you got to have to kind of drill down on this a little bit, but it's that 50% should be towards materials, 30% should go towards labor, and 20% should go towards your contingency, design fees, and permits. And that helps you understand, that the bulk of your renovation costs is going to go towards material. And so how expensive materials really are. So like keeping that in mind when you're choosing materials, when you're thinking about materials, like knowing that that's always going to be the most expensive part. And obviously labor costs will depend on the region of the country that you're in. Labor costs can even depend based on the season. So summer here, we're always way more busy. Winter, a little bit slower. People are a little bit more willing to negotiate. So
I think that's probably true for most
probably everywhere, unless it's like the same temperature. Unless you're in San Diego where it's like 70 degrees every day of the year. But I know that it sounds delightful. My neighbor's parents live in San Diego and they tell us about the weather. And I'm like, so when are we moving? Never. So that's something to think about when you finally get to a budget or when you know how much money you're working with, like understanding that 50% of that cost is going to go just to your materials. And the other thing that is really, really important to understand is that it's not just labor and materials. That contingency, that 20% of your budget going towards your contingency is probably why we get so many homeowner horror stories. So when you're renovating your house, you just don't know what's going to happen when you open up a wall. And any good general contractor is going to come in and tell you like, hey, listen, in a perfect world, we'll open up these walls and everything will be fine.
But it never happens.
But the world hasn't been perfect in a long time. So there's a good chance we're going to open something up and there's going to be a plumbing issue or there's going to be a flooring issue. I remember on this one renovation that we did, they changed out the sliding glass door. And so as they pulled out the sliding glass door, they had hardwood floors. And as they pulled out the sliding glass door, we could see that the subfloor was rotting. So the door had been leaking. The subfloor was rotting and like the hardwood floor hadn't started to rot yet, but like it was going to get to the point where you could probably step through it. So we had to go through and we had to pull up the hardwood floors until we got to where the rot stopped. And then you have to replace the subfloor and then you have to put the wood floors back in. And then that all has to be patched. And, so that's what that contingency is for. So when you have a 20% of your total budget for a contingency, that covers you for a lot of things that happen. One of the things too, and this is just a personal note, but if I were a homeowner in today's day and age and a GC gave me a budget, they said, okay, this is what it's going to cost, I would have 20% of that cost available in secret, like just like ready. The GC will build in their own contingency, but
Not enough.
it's never enough, because if they were using the contingency the way they're supposed to be using the contingency, they would come to you and say, hey, listen, when we opened up, that when we took that door out, we saw that the subfloor was rotting, and that was a $10,000 or a $5,000 fix. But don't worry, we have that in our contingency, so you're fine. However, that's never the story that we get in the homeowner horror stories. It's always like, now you need to pony up $5,000 more. So I don't trust that GCs have a strong enough contingency. So in my opinion, if you were to get numbers from a GC, add 20%. Because the reality is, and best
if you
case,
don't have 20%, then find something that you don't have to have the most high end thing for.
Yeah.
That you can be like, oh, well, if I don't really need.
Because seriously, that exactly.
Mhm.
And that's the thing, is like, don't negotiate out of the 20%. Like, negotiate out of the higher end finish,
Mhm.
because you're gonna need that 20% at some point. And I mean, let's say best case scenario, you only use 10% of your 20% contingency. Then at the very end, if you want to upgrade the appliance, like, okay, we had this much we were going to spend on the refrigerator, but maybe we can get a nicer one. Maybe you can get one of those ones that has the screen on the front that shows you everything that's inside.
God, that is a nightmare to me.
I can't imagine why. I can't imagine why anybody wants that.
I'm like, no, but I want to hide everything.
Right. I don't ever want to see. Don't tell me. But I guess it's for very organized people that are like at the grocery store and they're like, oh, looks like we need milk. Got it. I'm not that person. I'm like, milk? Who knew? Who drinks that? I don't. I really don't drink milk. So, but again, like, don't bulk on the contingency. Don't negotiate down on the contingency. Negotiate down on your finishes if you have to do that.
Mhm.
So most of you are probably like, but you're not telling us what it's gonna cost. And you're right, we're not. Now, obviously, you have to understand that renovation costs is going to vary so drastically based on, again, the end goal, like whether it's going to be an Airbnb, whether you're selling it, whether this is for you.
Mhm.
It also is going to vary depending on where you are in the country. But on average, I was like, what is a tool for homeowners that's like really accurate that they can use to just give them an idea? So you're not flying blind. Because I think the thing that if we could bestow upon all of you is the best thing you can do for yourself when you're about to do some home renovations is to do as much research as you possibly can. So you're not depending on subcontractors or general contractors to tell you what things cost. Now, you can research and get the research wrong. And if you get 3 estimates and all of those estimates are very similar in price, but they're way off from the number you got, I'm like, okay, your research was bad. But having an idea of what things cost can really help you understand, can I even afford this? Like, one of the things that I did when I started my very short period of time where I was a general contractor is we did a feasibility study. So we would do all the legwork and we charged for it, but it would break down. For instance, there was this lady and she had an attic that was the same layout of her entire house. So she had a single story house, but her attic was literally the same footprint. So it was, I think her house was like 2,500 square feet. She had a 2,500 square foot attic that was unfinished.
That's wild.
And she's thinking, oh, I can get this finished for $50,000. I'm like, honey, this is your house, again, built on top of your house. How much did your house cost?
Yeah.
Okay, it's somewhere around that range. But so just knowing that she didn't have a realistic number, I was like, I think the best thing is let's do a feasibility study and it will break down all the costs for you. I get paid to do the study so that I'm not wasting my time. But at the end of the day, then you know where you're at. You know what you need. You know what things cost.
Started on something and not be able to
finish it. Exactly. And this is the thing, like, I just think when you're dealing with a responsible general contractor, they don't want you to have to go take out more money. They don't want you to not be able to finish the project because you can't afford it. So like those are red flags. You're dealing with a GC that's like, oh, it'll be fine.
Will it?
Can you
You're gonna end up-
guarantee that it'll be fine?
You're gonna end up in our horror story.
Right. So don't do that. But so I did this feasibility study, and it was going to cost about $350,000 for her to get all the things that she wanted out of this renovation. And her response was, wow, I didn't realize it was going to cost that much.
Yeah.
We're not in a position to do that right now. And that's great because then you know, okay, this is how much it costs. And a feasibility study is a pretty standard thing, it's a protocol for like a feasibility study. And so you get a feasibility study done and it tells you the cost of things. Obviously, those costs can change, like, tariffs and whatever.
All the things.
All the things. So you're not flying blind. So you understand what things are going to cost because you paid for that report. So you should have those numbers. So if you're unsure, paying for a feasibility study, especially for a big renovation, is a really good idea. Because you have that, out the gate, okay, I can afford this, or whoa, I really can't.
So watching HGTV and all those renovation shows, and I see them do like a whole house for $20,000.
Oh my God, they're lying to you so bad. They're lying to you so bad.
But they're so pretty.
So I twice almost had an HGTV show. I don't know. I got the face for it, I guess, but just I don't have the ability to close. I don't know. And during both of those, like one, we went so far as to filmed a full pilot.
Oh wow.
So we were like, like HGT, they paid for a film crew to come out. Like it was a whole thing.
Wow.
They kept talking about TV magic. And this was where I was like, I don't want to do this show because the last thing I wanted to do was like get on TV and mislead homeowners with TV magic. And they were like, oh, don't worry. Like I would say like, oh, but that won't happen in the right amount of time. And they would be like, oh, don't worry about it. TV magic. And I'd be like, TV magic is not a thing for homeowners. No. It's a thing for TV. It's not a thing for homeowners. And it's really, really, really misleading. I love me some Chip and JoJo. Everybody loves Chip and JoJo. They're like the standard of all standards. But when I'm watching Fixer Upper and Chip is talking about, oh, it cost $2,200 to retile all the bathrooms in the house.
I was like, I want that in my house.
¿Cómo sé qué? No, it did not. It did not cost $2,200. And so it's like, maybe that's because they got the tile donated. Maybe that's because the show paid for the labor on something. But like, that is not at all a real cost on what things should cost. And so I'm sorry, but to be fair, I haven't watched HGTV in a minute just because I don't have cable. Like we do everything, we do everything on the TV, like the smart TV. But
I love all the flipping of the houses. I was like, oh
yeah, I used to love me some house flipping. But like, I'm just gonna say we're not using that as the standard. Like, I just don't think. Can look at HGTV prices and be like, oh, that sounds reasonable. No. There are other ways for you to get pricing. So one of them is I found a website. I checked it out myself. So I was like, okay, this kind of tracks. homeadvisor.com/cost // I don't know. It's this one. This one. You know which one. You know which one. Karate chop. Karate chop cost.
It's a forward slash.
So, or we can just call it a karate chop.
Karate chop cost. That's what we want to do. We're slashing prices.
Karate chop that cost. So,
we're okay. It's just
we're fine. Day. It is late. We're doing the best we can. Deal with it. So I went to that website and I put in a kitchen renovation. It's really cool because it pulls up your zip code and it gives you pricing based on your zip code. So according to them, a kitchen renovation where we are, and does ask some important questions that I think is cool. So it was like, are you changing the floor plan of the kitchen? And I'm like, great question, because that would drastically increase the budget. So on average, a kitchen renovation, the average cost is $27,016, which I thought was very specific. But it can range for as little as $14,500 and as much as $41,600. So that's a huge jump. I mean, we're in between 15 and 40. And so that is for you to understand. I don't think 15 is real. I think 15 is like again
refresh.
A refresh. It's like you painted your cabinets, you actually painted your cabinets instead of letting the GC talk you in to new cabinets, like our poor homeowner horror story that we had just a couple episodes ago.
And maybe like you changed your sink out.
Yeah, like $15,000 is very minor cosmetic upgrades, whereas $41,000 is maybe new cabinets, but it's not like a full kitchen refresh. What they said was most projects cost between $75 and $250 per square foot. And I know that is more accurate. So it's depending on the size of your kitchen. Like I had a friend once that called me and she was like, hey, I bought this house. Do you think X amount of dollars is enough to paint it? And I stupidly didn't ask, well, how big is the house? I'm like, yeah, that should be enough. Turns out it was like a 7,500 square foot house. I was like, Candace, you didn't tell me about a mini mansion or like a straight up mansion, a half a mansion. Like, come on now. Obviously, that wouldn't be enough to paint the house.
I thought
you should have told me that.
A 2,400 square
foot, like an average normal house, like that you used to live in. Like, I don't realize we were upgrading like that. You should have let me know. So, like, things cost different prices based on the size of your house. So, I like the square footage price more than just like that, those average pricing. So, between $75 and $250 per square foot for your renovation. So if your kitchen is 200 square feet, you can do the math because we're not gonna, and it gives you that average number. And I always think go with the higher number that you can afford on the budget. Okay, it's like this is how much we have.
Yep, and then 20% for contingency.
Add your 20%.
That is your budget,
right? Add the 20%, and that is your budget. So the cost estimation tool I thought was really cool. And there was a couple, but I liked that one the best because it didn't ask me like immediately for my contact information. And it allowed you to like be researching without having to like give them your social security number. So like I liked that one. When I wanted more information, because I was messing around with it for a little bit, as I wanted more information, it was like, okay, lady, if you want this much, you got to at least tell us your name. And I was like, nope, not doing that.
That's where we stopped.
But it was able to give us some good information. And then it wanted to like connect me with pros. And I was like, no, we're done.
We already know our own pros.
Yes, we know already. We have our own obviously, I have my own people. Somebody was like, you should start your own Angie's List. And I was like, you're not wrong. So the other thing too is obviously get multiple bids and never, and I do mean never, take the lowest bid. Ever. Don't ever take the lowest bid.
Why?
Okay, so the lowest bid means somebody missed something. So if you get 3, and people say get 3, but I think 4 is a better number. Because 3 only gives you like lowest, middle, high.
So like you're not going to use this guy.
One, right. A fourth one gives you that bell curve to know like, okay, so this guy's high, this guy's low, this guy's in the middle, because I have 2 numbers that are very similar. So I think the more estimates that you can get, and even if you have to pay for them, if it's $250, I think that's short money to like have the information, to have accurate estimates. But I think at the minimum 3, but I think the solid number is 4 because that fourth one gives you that like, okay, these guys are actually really low and these 2 are right about the same. So I think 4 is better than 3. And so the cheapest one is always going to be the one that comes back with, oh, we didn't have that included in the price. So, and I deal with this in my industry all the time. So I am never, ever the cheapest number when we turn in drywall and paint estimates to the tune of like $300,000.
Because she's doing multifamily.
Yes, because we're building apartments.
Yes, not for your house.
No, don't panic. This is I'm not doing $300,000 worth of drywall in any single home. But, we're doing multi-million
Mhm.
dollar contracts, and what the industry thing is, right? This is what I'm dealing with. I'm going in because I'm thinking about the GC, just like a GC should be thinking about a
Mhm.
homeowner, and I'm thinking about their budget. And I'm like, listen, you need real numbers because you're going to take these numbers and you're going to go to contract with these numbers. So
Mhm.
then, if you go to contract with a bad number, that's when change orders happen. That's when your contingency gets eaten up.
Mm.
So all the time, I'm the highest bidder because I actually read the plans, because I have everything in that estimate. I'm not going to turn around and hit you with the change order because I already accounted for all the things that needed to be in there. I
Mhm.
mean, if something pops up again that wasn't on the plans, or this wasn't expected, or the owner made a change, obviously a change order happens. But when you're working with like a true professional, the cheapest number should scare you because there's something in there that's not caught and you're going to pay for it. We did some research and we found that when our clients go with the cheaper number, they actually end up paying 20 to 30% more than our original bid, because people will mark up a change order and they're like, "Oh, well,
Mhm.
I've got you,
Yeah.
in the position where I can tell you whatever. And what are you going to do? Bring another person in? No, not on the jobs that I'm on." So, really, that lowest number is always missing something. And so, or they've made a mistake or whatever it is, but don't ever go with the lowest number. It's
Or they
just a
just
bad
really want
idea.
they need work because they've been messing up something else. They're like,
Right. And that's just like, there's just so many reasons why the lowest number is just not the number to go with. So you want to go with the middle number, but also I think it's also about
a vibe with the
the
person,
vibe, right?
right?
Like, you met with the GC, you feel like they get it. You're like, they understand what you want to accomplish. They have solid contracts. They have a solid change order process. And so you understand how they work. You know what to expect when working with them. Feeling confident in working with the GC, even if they're more expensive, it's kind of one of those things where it's like pay now or pay later. And
Mhm.
so it's one of those things to factor in. Like some people just think they're very special. Some people charge a lot of money because they think they're very special. I'm not saying pay the special person price, but I'm saying, like, if you really meet somebody and you're like, "Oh my god,
Mhm.
they get it. They get what I want. I feel like they're gonna really accomplish
Mhm.
this design aesthetic that I want. They have the right people. They know they had all the answers to my questions, and if they didn't have it, they came back with it." Like, and
That's what
that
you want.
that guy costs a little bit more. I'm like, "Listen, I'm not trying to spend your money, but listen, I've been doing this for a long time. I think that's probably the way to go."
That sounds good.
Yeah. Some other things, and this will be good for you
Okay.
to know too, is there's something called scope creep. I said creek, but I meant scope creep.
Creep. I
Should
don't
be
wanna
creeping.
what's the creep
Okay,
doing?
so here's an example of scope creep. So you're like, I want to renovate my bathroom. And you hire somebody, you renovate your bathroom. And then while they're renovating the bathroom, you're like, the hardwood floors in the hallway outside of the bathroom, like, now they look really bad because the bathroom's so nice and it looks so good. Maybe we should also do the hardwood floors. And so
Mm.
scope creep happens in little ways. It's like the owner adds, like, you add, like, "Oh, maybe we'll just upgrade the
So it's not necessarily
granite."
the GC, it's the
No, it
homeowners that
can be like in that situation with the homeowner horror story where she just wanted to refresh and he talked her into a whole kitchen renovation.
right, that's terrible.
That was scope creep on the general contractor's end. But a lot of times, scope creep is creepy. It creeps up on you.
It says homeowners.
Yeah, and you're like, "Oh, but, I know I only have it in the budget for this tile, but I really love this tile, and how much more could it be?" And so enough of those,
That eats your
"Oh,"
contingency real quick.
right, enough of those, like, "Oh, it's only, 20 cents more a square foot if we use this tile. That's not that bad. Enough of those little sort of situations, and next thing your budget is blown. You've gone through your contingency, or I mean, really, your contingency is not for scope creep. Your contingency is because, oh my gosh, we opened up
the
the wall and there was asbestos, or there was,
oh God,
the siding was rotting on the other side. You're like, that is what your contingency is for. And it's not because you liked a different kind of tile. I'm so sorry to tell you this. Like, that's not what your contingency is for. So,
but it's pretty.
Yeah. And that's another thing that's actually one of the tips to stay on budget, is to keep emotions in check, because pretty can get really pricey. So, like, really, to stay in budget, keep it on emotional. Like, pretty is expensive. And as long as you've got the budget for pretty, get your pretty on. But if you don't have your budget for
you gotta get like, it's all right, it's average.
Right. And I know that sucks. But like, if you can't afford it, you can't afford it. And then you end up in a situation where now you're taking out additional loans. And it's like, at the end of the day, is it really worth it? So that is one of those things where I don't think I've met anybody that's like, I'm still paying for that granite 6 years later, but it was worth it. No. If you can afford the granite and you're like, I'm going to pull the trigger, I've got the money in the bank and I'm going to spend it. Because I did that on my granite. We had it budgeted for like a moderate level, but I went to the granite store and I was like, oh my God, it's so pretty. Look at that slab. And I spent the money and I don't regret it because I had the money. And that's the thing, is like, if you have to now take out a loan for this granite that you're paying interest on, do you feel at the end of the day like it was worth it? Probably not. So
maybe you need a pretty budget.
Yeah, if you can afford a pretty budget, get your pretty on. But like, if maybe you just need to find pretty alternatives. And there are some things you can do. Like, I think a general contractor would be very upset at me saying this, but there are some things that you can do yourself. I have seen homeowners very successfully install their own backsplashes, especially if they buy like a mosaic sheet. Those things are very easy.
They're forgiving too.
They are very forgiving. And so, like, if you are smart about the things that you DIY and you don't try to get crazy with it, you can DIY your own paint. I own a freaking paint company and I hate painting. I will hire my guys to come paint my house all day long, every day, all day, every day, because I hate it. But like, if you really wanted that special tile, and you're like, what if we saved the money on the paint labor and we put that towards the tile budget? Like, there's things that you can do. But then you painting, okay? Then you're painting.
You're having a painting party. You
okay?
are rolling.
You're doing the work. And if you don't like it, the only person you can be mad at is yourself. You don't get to yell at the GC because the paint doesn't look good because you did it. So that's another thing to keep in mind. Like, there are some things that you can DIY, but
don't get mad when
it doesn't work out right. And also be smart. Like, don't try to DIY your electrical.
Or your plumbing.
No, there's not enough YouTube channels for you to watch for that to be okay. No. There are so many things that a professional needs to do. There are, I think, like the cosmetic things. Some of them,
not all of them
can be a DIY thing. Like, I will say, I installed my own floors. And let me tell you something. That it hurt so bad. It hurt my body so bad. Did I save whatever, $3 a square foot? I did. But am I still paying for it, going to the chiropractor and getting adjustments? I sure am.
So was it worth it?
No, it was not. But like, listen, if you're young and you got a strong back, like, I guess you could probably do your floors if you get a certain type of floor. Like the LVP right now, which is a luxury vinyl plank, are very hot. Like, everybody's doing them. I'm seeing them in like very high-end homes. Like, they're waterproof. They look.
That's what we're thinking of doing.
Yes, and they can look very high-end. Like, they don't have to look cheap. Pretty DIY friendly. Again, any work where you're on your like working on your knees, it's
Mhm.
gonna kill your back. But if like, listen, you gotta do what you gotta do. That's one of those things. I've never really heard of anybody messing that up so badly that they had to like bring in a professional. Now I have heard of people trying to sand their own hardwood floors and restain them and that going horribly. So that's
Don't-
not in the DIY bubble. But if you were gonna lay down some of the luxury vinyl planks, they snap into place. Like there's some things. There are some things that you can do. So that's one of the things to note that like to help your budget along, to help maybe get the maximum out of your budget, there are a few
things.
DIY things that you can do.
But we're not saying go do them.
We're not saying go do them. We're just saying
if you need to fix your budget a little bit.
right. If something gets creeping and you're like, all right, I really like that tile. What can I do on my end?
Yeah.
That's an option.
I will not do that with our Airbnb because I have very much come to the conclusion and like have my brain wrapped around that this is not my house.
Right.
It is like I own it.
Right.
But it's not for me.
Right.
So I will only do things that I think other people will like and enjoy.
Right.
And I'll like it too because I mean, if other people are gonna like and enjoy it, then I'm
naturally.
But I'm not like there was something that came with the inspection. It's like the tub isn't tilted perfectly, so the water drains all completely. And I was like, okay.
You're like, but does it drain eventually? Okay, then we're fine here.
We're fine.
Yeah.
So the cleaner's got to clean a little extra.
They're gonna have to scoot the water to the drain a little bit.
Go.
Just encourage it. Yeah.
We're not getting new showers.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah. No, that's
not happening.
I'm sorry, what? Yeah. But I will say, good on the home inspector. That's a good home inspection.
Yeah.
Like that was like no stone left unturned
like,
level.
Did he have like a little marble or?
I'm like, how did you fill it up and then watch it drain and be like, oh my
Put a
God,
level
there's
in
some
there,
water
like,
in there.
This isn't right.
Yeah, seriously, that's amazing. So, I mean, good home inspector, good on that. But like, I totally get that being like, yeah, that's something we're not fixing. But thanks for letting us know.
Cool.
You're like, awesome. The other thing to factor in is that there are permitting and inspection costs. And I will tell you, I watch a lot of the YouTube. We're on YouTube. I be watching the YouTube.
YouTube.
I do. I like to call it the Facebook and the YouTube and Instagram because it is what old people say, and I think it's funny. So in permits can, depending on where you are in the world, get spicy priced. So that is one thing that you need to research before you do anything is how much permits in your area cost. So I was watching this show. It's the cutest little husband and wife duo, and they are fully renovating their own house. They are insane.
Yes.
So they had bought this abandoned house. I think they're in Canada, like they're Pacific. That's very cold all the time. Amazing view, amazing house, but holy schmoly. It's like we're on like episode 72 because they have been renovating this house for freaking ever. And I think they do an episode a week. So we're well over a year into them renovating this house. And I'm like, it's never ending. And they're not even to drywall yet. They just got their windows in and we're at episode 72. So one of the things that like rocked my world, my actual world, was they had to pull a permit. Hilariously, the inspections department or the permitting department or whatever is watching their show and realized that they did something that needed a permit that they didn't pull a permit for. So one, they got a fine. Then, yes, from them watching the show, which I was like, they call him like City Man. They're like, City Man. Which is really, it's really kind of funny. So they had to pay a fine, but then they had to get the permit, and the permit was $41,000. What? And I almost fell out my chair. I almost fell right out the bed. I was watching it in the bed. I almost fell right out the bed.
What is the permit for?
It was like,
none of our permits are that.
No, none of our. I've never seen. Well, like for listen, for an apartment building, you can spend well over $41,000 for a permit. But I have never in my life seen a permit cost that much for a home renovation in North Carolina ever. But again, regionally, check into where you are, because if you're doing a whole house renovation,
That's crazy.
Your permitting costs could be out of this world. And so that is something that you need to look into and you need to be aware of, because talk about contingency going right out the daggone door.
So what were they getting a permit for?
I think it wasn't even like their whole house permit. I think it had to do with the waterproofing of their house. So they added this house wrap.
Okay.
And they needed to get a permit for it. And I'm like, but how did that cost $41,000? I almost died. I almost literally died.
Did they die?
I mean, they were shocked. I don't know if their channel was making so much money. They do have sponsors. We're not there yet. That they were like, okay, that sucks, but we'll pay it. I would die, because that's just one permit. Again, so you really need to know your permitting costs for where you are. And then
you have to pull
the
tricky.
You do have to pull the permit.
You can't say like, oh, this is expensive, I can't do that.
Right. Exactly. You have to pull, especially if you were doing it on YouTube and City Man be watching your channel. But like, I remember when I was renovating the Youngsville house, I went to go get temporary power and they were like, oh no, you need a special permit for temporary power. And I was like, what? I have no idea about this. And they're like, oh yeah, first of all, it was a total scam. It was a total scam. Because they didn't even come out and inspect. They just made me pay the fee, and then temporary power was magically turned on. And I was like, this is a racket. It's a racket. But whatever, they're in charge and they get to tell me that I have to pay this permit. And it was $150. It wasn't life altering.
It wasn't $41,000.
Right. It wasn't $41,000. But permit, there's multiple different permits that have to be pulled. So knowing that, like, or at least talking to a GC, like, hey, what permits do we need to pull? What are the fees for these permits? Are these fees included in your pricing?
Because they can be included.
Right. And they absolutely should be included in the pricing. That should not be something that's like, oh, by the way, we have to add blah, blah, blah because permits. You knew we had to pull permits. Why wasn't that in the price? So permits should absolutely be in the price and the cost of inspection. There's also, if you fail an inspection, a re-inspection cost. Okay. And normally that should be very mild. It should be like, it's like a slap on the, it's like, oh, you failed. It's $15, $25. But if you fail an inspection enough times, it can really add up. So keeping those things in mind.
And hopefully your GC is not going to mess up things that many times.
Yeah.
Inspections.
Yeah. That's the hope.
That's why you don't get the lowest one.
That's why you don't go with the lowest one.
That's why we're going in the middle.
They're going in the middle. And we're going with the one with the good vibes. The other thing that people don't think about, if you are going to finance your renovation, the fees for the financing fees, the closing costs, things like that. So like factoring in the cost to get the loan, that has to be part of your budget. Like, don't be surprised if you were to take out a second mortgage on your house. That's a whole process, y'all. Like, that's a whole thing. There's closing fees and closing costs associated to that. And sometimes it can be a couple $1,000s. So be aware of what those fees are and add that into your budget as well. So like if you're not paying cash and you have to go through a lending source, like factoring in the lending source fees. Like, if you're doing a whole house renovation, you do not try to be living in your house while you're doing a whole house renovation. Like, that is silly. Move out of your house. And so we've actually talked to a couple people that did a whole house renovation and they were smart enough to get an apartment. So, but that's another cost. So if you're doing a whole house renovation and it's just impossible for you to actually live there, the cost of packing up your things and moving, the cost of the apartment, the cost of getting your electricity switched over, like all of these things, like there's just fees and fees and fees.
Storage for
for your stuff. Absolutely. So like, these are things that a good GC should be walking you through. But since we're helping you, find that good GC, these are things to be looking for. If you're renovating an entire house. Maybe you're not out of the house the entire time, but there's a period where, okay, this is when we start redoing all of the flooring, and obviously you can't be here while
Mhm.
we're doing that. So there's a 2-week period that you have to stay in an Airbnb or
Mhm.
whatever it is.
Or if they
If
have
you're
to
like,
shut
"Oh,
off your
no."
water.
Yeah, or if it's you're I mean, like, for
Oh,
instance, we upgraded our electrical box on this house. So they had to come and drop the power line.
mhm.
So we had no power. Obviously, me and the dogs, we couldn't be here. Put in the electric box. Electric box has to be inspected before the power company will come put the power cord back on. So that's a couple
Oh,
days. So just
yeah,
even in upgrading your electrical box,
that's a pain.
that's not happening in a day. I mean, I have heard of some GCs like having really good relationships with inspectors where they can get them out same day and like knowing the linesmen. I mean, if you're working with the right people, they know they can make
They
magic
can make
happen.
but know that you might
But
have
know that if you ain't working with the right people, that might be a couple of days where you don't have power. Obviously, you're not staying at your house during that. So these are things to consider that you're like, I didn't even think about that. It's just
mhm,
one of those things.
and it's all gonna be there in that budget.
Yeah, and it all needs to be in the budget because you don't want to be tapping into contingency over stuff that you missed.
Mhm,
Like you want to get as much into that budget so that your contingency is really for like unknowns that just pop up. So I think that's like we covered all of the things that like I could really think of. But there were some other tips to stay on budget. We already talked about keeping the emotions out of it because pretty is
mhm,
expensive. One of the things that I thought, oh, I hope everybody does this, is having a weekly check-in with your general contractor. I think this does a lot. It lets the general contractor know that you're paying attention, but that also you care. Like you're like, "Hey, where are we at in the
mhm.
budget, my guy?" Like, "Hey, my guy, where are we at?" Or "My gal, where are we at?" Like, how's everything going? Did you order the thing that you needed to order? Has all that been placed? Like, are we
Mhm.
good on the budget? Asking that on a weekly basis. I don't care if a GC thinks that's annoying. You should be doing that. And that helps you then when they say, "Oh, well, we opened up this wall and there's some plumbing and I'm not sure," like you're like, "Okay, wait a second, that could affect my budget." So checking in with your general contractor weekly on like how the process is going, the progress that's happening, are we on schedule, are we on budget, are really important. And the one thing that was like, obviously, but not obviously, is having a very clear contract that not only very clearly lays out the scope of work that they're going to do, the cost of the work that they're going to do, and a very clear process for change orders. So, a change order is something that can happen because you decided you wanted the pretty tile,
Mhm.
or the change order is something that could happen because they opened up the wall and some framing was rotted. So now they have to go buy some 2 by
By
4s
force.
and they've got to swap some framing out. And so that's a change order because that wasn't something they expected. But there should be a very clear process for change orders, and no work should be done until you have been presented with the cost and signed off on it. So if they get in there and they're like, "Oh, we opened up this wall and we don't know how far it goes." Oh no, open up the wall until you stop seeing the problem so we can get a total and you can price it completely because you're not going to give me a change order and then come back and be like, "Oh, well, it costs more to do." No, you
Not
gave me a
happening.
price. We get a change order. It was signed. We agreed to it. You had to get it done in that price. So, and if that was not going to be the case, then you are obligated to let me know right away. And I think that's one of the things that's not happening when people are doing renovations and they're working with general contractors is for it to be very clear to the general contractor that if there is anything that's going to happen with the cost of things, with the cost of this renovation, I am to be told right away. And I get to make the decision
Mhm.
on what we're doing next. Like maybe it is a thing where it's like, okay, put the drywall back up and we'll circle back to this next year because I can't afford to do that or whatever it is. But the homeowner has the final say. They're brought in right away. They're told how much it's going to cost. They get to make that decision. It all gets put in writing. And at the end of the day, you don't have problems.
Mhm.
Contracts, contracts, contracts. I
Now-
cannot say this enough.
In the contract, should it have a timeline of when things are going to be done by so that you can keep track of it? Does it have when things are going to be paid for and when money is due?
Absolutely. I think that the more detailed the contract can get, the better. Because, like I deal with this all the time. Listen, stuff happens. Like weather happens,
Mhm.
things happen. People don't show up. There's things that are just out of your control. But a contract is a contract. And so you can have wiggle room in there. So like what I would do if I were a GC, I mean I am a GC, but if I were doing a home renovation, I would say, hey, the cabinet install is going to take this many days. The the window replacement is going to take this many days.
Mhm.
Here are some things that could affect that schedule. The weather. There could be delays with the cabinets. If there are any delays, we will let you know. And so, like, letting people know, but that this is how long that this labor should take.
Mhm.
And then that gives you, as the homeowner, when something has gone on for 5 weeks and you still don't have a functioning kitchen, you're like, excuse me, sir. Do you see how you said right here that it would take 7 days to get my kitchen functioning? We're at 5 weeks. So now I want to be monetarily compensated.
Mhm.
And so that's where having a very strong contract, and that's where I feel like finding a construction attorney to review your contract before you, especially for a big renovation, is paramount. Like, because they're looking out for you, they're making sure that everything that you need in that contract is in that
There.
contract. And even if a GC gives you a contract, you're allowed to make revisions. So you're allowed to read through that contract and be like, actually, I don't like the wording of this, or I don't agree with this timeline, or I don't agree with this payment schedule. But the payment schedule should absolutely be in your contract. It should absolutely be in writing. Any kind of deposit schedule, any kind of the handling of deposits, you should absolutely have the right, like to fire them. You should have a process in how that would happen. Like one of the things that we kind of deal with, not a lot, but there's something in the commercial construction world called contract supplementation. So basically, if a subcontractor doesn't perform per agreed upon schedule for like 3 days, they give you a 24-hour notice to perform. And if you don't get working in that 24 hours, they can bring somebody else in using your money to get that work done. And it's a major deal. But that's all in writing.
Right.
Like that is in my contract. I go into this work knowing if something, if I shit the bed, they're going to bring somebody in and they're going to use my money to fix it. And so that's one of those things where it's like, know what the terms are, have them in writing, understand the contract. And if that means you need to have a construction attorney explain that to you, the more knowledge you know, the absolute better. And that absolutely helps you stay on budget and stay within your budget so that you do end where you had planned on ending. Like not every renovation has to be like, and then we had to take out a loan and it cost $25,000 more than we had anticipated. Like I had a friend who was on, she was on the Love It or List It show.
Oh,
and
I like that one too.
she was so funny because she was like, the level of drama that they created for the show was so ridiculous. She was like, the renovation was wonderful. It wasn't done by the Love It or Listed people. It was done by a local contractor that was just working with the Love It or Listed people. Like they did everything that they wanted. They got everything that they wanted out of it. Like it was a wonderful experience. They were totally on budget. There was absolutely no problems. But if you watch that TV show, it was
you
like,
have to have some problems.
oh, it was just like, oh my God, the budget. So it's like, it is fully possible to have an amazing experience where you get everything that you want out of your renovation. But you know what was part of her amazing experience was because they were attached to HGTV, they had a unbelievably solid contract.
Ironclad, because they could not mess it up.
Ironclad. And so that's the thing is like, it literally always boils down to the contract. But things to remember, obviously, weekly check-ins with your contractor is important. Clear signed contract with a process for change orders. keep your emotions in check because pretty costs money. Starting with the end goal in mind, so knowing that you're doing an Airbnb rather than your luxury
Right.
beach townhouse.
Right. I'm not
That's
going to live in
important.
it all the time. So
Right.
it's okay that the stove is not something that I would like.
right. And you know what? That is like such a great mentality to have. You're just like, yeah, this isn't my dream stove, but I'll use it for a couple weeks out of the year.
It'll
So
cook my food.
yeah, and that's all I needed to do.
Yeah.
And like not being that's that like not being emotional about it.
Mhm.
Just like, okay, well, here we go. We got
This
it.
is what we gotta do. And I want to update the floors and the carpet and the
Yeah.
paint and the closets.
And
But,
really like the finishes are what people care about in situations like that.
yeah,
Like
they
they
want it to
don't.
look pretty.
Yeah.
They want to come into a pretty
Yeah.
house.
I mean, it's true. I'm a sucker for a cute Airbnb. Like
Right?
especially if it's like styled right. I'm like, that's just the right level of bougie.
Right. That is what we're
Um,
going to have. The
yeah,
right level of
the
bougie.
right level of bougie because there's a wrong level. And you want to be in the right level.
Mhm.
And I can't tell you what the wrong level is. I can just tell you what the right level is. By pictures because I
Yeah.
found it on Pinterest. So yeah, remember 50% materials, 30% labor, 20% contingency. The contingency is non-negotiable. The contingency is non-negotiable. You have to have a contingency. And honestly, when you get a number from a GC in the back of your mind, if you can, have a little bit of money for the oopsie whoopsies.
Mhm.
Hopefully you don't need it, but I just think that's a smart way to go. What else?
I think that's it because we want to make sure that anytime that you're doing plumbing and electrical, you're probably going to have to do more and
Yes.
dig into that contingency plan because the chances of your home built in
The
God,
70s being
70s,
up to
80s,
code
90s, or
currently.
even the
Yeah.
early 2000s.
True story. I forgot that it's like
God, it's like
2025.
we're so old.
Oh my God. That's why I call it the Facebook.
The chances of everything being to code now
Right.
is
Slim to none.
slim to
Given
none.
as frequently as they update the North Carolina code book, and I'm sure they do that everywhere, like if you have to like dig into plumbing, you're gonna have to upgrade things. And so
Mhm.
keeping that in mind, like don't be surprised by that. That's one of those things where it's like if you're not watching our show and you're not a general contractor, you have no idea. But have your friends, tell your friends, watch the chicks in construction. They know because it's just one of those things where it's like that lady that wrote in anonymous or no, well, we gave her a name, but she was totally, I think it was Sophie. Sophie didn't know that if we move the sink, now we have to get all of the plumbing in the kitchen up to code. She didn't
Mhm.
know that. And her GC didn't tell her that. And it put
That
her in a really bad
Mhm.
position. And so just know that like if you want to move that sink, okay, we just probably added 10 grand to your budget because there's demo that has to go on. The plumbers on average charge about $500 per piece. So like a sink install and all of the plumbing that goes with it, $500. The toilet and all of the plumbing that goes with it, $500. Unless I'm looking at it really quick. Really quick. So things like that you have to just take into consideration. Lots and lots of things. So between $75 and $250 a
Mhm.
square foot. And obviously that is depending on your level of bouge and your commitment to pretty and your budget. But there's also absolutely nothing wrong with being like, all right, I thought I had the money for this, and it turns out I
I
don't.
don't. Mhm.
I'm gonna just keep saving.
Keep saving, or you can just do a little refresh. Like if there's some cosmetic things
Yeah.
that you want to do, then you can do that and keep saving until you can
Yeah.
upgrade stuff. And if you're planning on selling your house and you don't have the money to do all the upgrades, then just don't. Just sell the
Yeah.
house as is.
Yeah.
Somebody will come with the vision of what they want to make it.
Yeah, absolutely. That's also a really good point. Like
Just
you
because your realtor tells you that
Oh,
you
that's so
should
true.
upgrade or update something because you'll get more money for it. If you don't have the money to do it, you don't have to.
That has cost people money.
A lot of
So
money.
so we at the little mini mansions across the street, this dude that lives the end of my street in a regular house made an offer on this mini mansion and he put $20,000 of due diligence money down. It was like a
Wow.
$1.5 million house. Well, his realtor told him that in order to get the most out of his house, he needed to do this massive renovation, which cost $1 bajillion. And because of it, he wasn't able to like go to closing. He wasn't able to buy this house. And he
So
went back.
the $20,000.
He lost the 20 because the homeowner lost the whole summer being under contract with him. And the summer's the hottest time to sell a house. And so she lost her ability to get the high ticket dollar for her house. And of course she was not giving that due diligence back.
Oh
So
God.
he lost 20 grand because a realtor was like, oh, you do this, do that, do that. And listen, he's still living in that house at the end of the street because at the end of the day, he couldn't afford to move. So
don't do that.
Don't do that. Unless you, I don't know, just don't.
No,
just don't.
just don't.
Don't do it.
No.
Get a better realtor. Call our girl Heather. She's available. She's episode 4. I don't know. One of those episodes. Early
find
episodes.
Somebody that will find somebody to love your house the way that it is. Because
Yeah.
you love your house the way that it is. Or maybe you don't, because that's why I want to move. But
Yeah.
that there's somebody, there's what do they say? A lid for every pot.
There's a lid for every pot, people. So seriously, stay within your budget. Know what things should cost. Do your research.
Don't watch HGTV.
HGTV is not research, y'all. Don't do yourself dirty like that because it's gonna hurt your own feelings. Because listen, subway tile actually costs a lot more than you'd think to install because it's hard work. It's hard labor getting everything lined up. You have to use lasers. Okay, there's lasers involved. So when Chip and JoJo's guy installs that subway tile for $2,200, lying to your face. Lying to your face.
TV magic.
TV magic. So none of that here. It's just Chicks in Construction real talk. Speaking of, please follow us. Please like and subscribe to the videos. Like the video and subscribe to the channel. That. Also follow us on all the socials. We're on Instagram. We're on
Facebook,
LinkedIn, the Facebook, the LinkedIn. We're on all the places. She does all that, so I don't know. I should be having her tell you. But subscribe, like, comment,
share it.
And then also, please go to chicksinconstruction.com, scroll to the bottom of the page, and share with us your homeowner horror stories because that is really, I think, the way that we prefer to help educate homeowners because there's just so many stories out there that honestly, some of the stories we've learned things from them. Like I'll never forget the public adjuster. I'm really trying very hard to get a public adjuster on the show so that we can all learn what a public adjuster is. But like I am learning even from these homeowner horror stories. So like if I'm picking up new information, like there's so much knowledge and so much juice in these homeowner horror stories. So please, if you have one, share it. If you want to stay anonymous.
And even if you don't.
Even if you don't, Jess will never say your name. Maybe your location, maybe, but she will never say your name. So you're safe. You're safe.
Okay. And we just want to make sure that everybody who has a horror story can help somebody else so that they don't end up in the same boat.
That's really what it's for. It's just educational. Like, so somebody doesn't have to go through what you went through. And there's so many out there that I'm like, come on, y'all, give me the tea. So thank you guys for tuning in. Again, we appreciate you. We love you. And we'll see you next time.
Bye.
Bye.